It was originally developed by the US Army more than 30 years ago. Lariam can be a lifesaver, preventing a disease that killed getting on for 500,000 people last year. But some veterans say this drug has torn their life apart, causing depression, hallucinations and panic attacks. Official guidelines say it can be used safely, but that it can have serious side effects, and patients should have proper checks before being given the drug. Afghanistan is just one of the operational areas where British personnel were prescribed anti-malarials, including Lariam. But MPs on the Commons Defence Committee found strong anecdotal evidence that stringent guidelines on Lariam's use hadn't always been followed. Now, the government says a new malaria prevention policy will require face-to-face assessments with a doctor, wherever possible, before any prescription. And personnel will have to be offered an alternative to Lariam.
I think the government's response is positive. I think there's some really good stuff in there around setting up a point of contact for people to come forward to, around recruiting a team to look at the effects of this drug. It's really important. I'm just sorry it's taken a select committee and this long to get to this stage, but we are where we are now, and and it proves the power of these sort of things to, look after the blokes and get this sort of thing done.
They haven't, though, accepted all your recommendations. One of note, they are still not going to designate Lariam a drug of last resort.
No, and I think that's surprising. I mean, I don't really see what the problem would be with that. I think some members of the committee may push back against that. What I'm really interested in is making sure we stop doing this, and going forward we look after people properly.
And the committee has scolded the government for saying that its report accepted Lariam could be the most effective protection in some cases. They say that puts a gloss on their findings. And some who've campaigned against the drug are worried about the fine detail of the government's plans.
They're still talking about doing paper checks at their own discretion. Now, that means a medic looking at the medical records. There was a lot of detail about that in the Defence Committee's, the evidence it heard. And the Defence Committee itself has very explicitly recommended that should absolutely not take place.
Short notice deployments are one circumstance where the government says checks of records may have to do, but it says face-to-face assessments should be the norm before deploying. That is going to take an awful lot of time and effort of medical staff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but if that's the requirement for using that medication, you get on and do it. You don't just not do it because there isn't the time or you can't be bothered to allocate the resources to it. This is about looking after people. This is about mental health.
The debate about Lariam is not over. It will still be prescribed to some, and the committee is now asking for 6 monthly updates to monitor its usage. James Hurst, Forces News, Westminster.